From Whitmer High School, the Toledo Sports Network brings you high school football as the Whitmer Panthers play host to the Orchard Lake St.Marys powerhouse out of Michigan. Thanks again for joining us, everyone. I'm Steve Taylor. Please be joined by my good friend Mike Bauman. And Mike, when we look at Orchard Lake, here's a team that is prone to make deep playoff runs into the Michigan State playoffs. And I tell you what, they've had a lot of success doing just that.
Oh, exactly. I mean, last year alone, they were league champs, district champs, and they were state runners-up. They actually lost on a field goal in overtime in the state championship game. And last week, they were up 13-0 on Oak Park. Ended up losing that game 25-20 in a nail-biter. So they're coming in hungry tonight for sure. But this is one of the best teams that you'll see in the state of Michigan. This is potentially one of the best games going on in the state of Ohio tonight.
One thing about St.Marys, there's no guesswork involved. They're going to run the football early and often.
Exactly, and when you look at this team, too, defensively coming in here at a 3-4, it's going to be interesting to see how that defense matches up with Whitmer's offense. Obviously, only 2 starters back from last year, trying to replace a lot of that production from Nick Holly, the quarterback now at Kent State. So that's going to be a key battle, too, is up front and their defensive backfield.
And when we look at Whitmer, they're coming in with 2 sophomore quarterbacks. They are very talented, Winsler and Chase Bodeman, but they'll give you 2 different looks.
Exactly, and also with the 2 running backs that they have with Ryan and Bell, they're going to mix it up a little bit with this spread offense on this 3-4. It'll be interesting to see the give and take. I think the key is going to be up front, but keep an eye on that defensive backfield with Tyson Smith, already been offered by Michigan State. He's a great cornerback, and I think we're going to see a lot of one-on-one action tonight with him and Chris Boykin. We'll see who gets the best of that battle tonight.
We'll look for that, the Smith-Boykin battle. Who will win? We'll find out when we come back to high school football right here on the Toledo Sports Network. Orchard Lake St.Mary, the Eaglets, donning their white uniforms, red helmets with the black pants. Very beefy football team, and that's the one thing that you'll notice right away, Mike Bauman, is this is a very, very big football team, very physical, and no guesswork involved with these guys. They're going to run it early, they're going to run it often, and then they're very simplistic on defense as well.
Yeah, coming in out of that 3-4 defense, Steve, but the one thing to keep in mind about this team is that this is literally one of the best teams in the state of Michigan. They're an absolute powerhouse. Catholic League champs, Catholic Prep Bowl champs, state runners-up last year. They were an overtime field goal away from winning back-to-back state championships. And they're coming into this game off of those 2 losses. Last week, a 25-20 loss to Oak Park. They were up 13-0 at halftime. So I think they're coming in here with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, feeling like they let that one get away from them. In the second half, you're going to see Evan Henry at quarterback tonight. Tyson Smith, the cornerback for this team, had played quarterback last week. And we talked to Coach Port before the game, and Evan Henry will be your starter tonight, more of a traditional pocket passer for the Eaglets. So it'll be interesting to see how this Whitmer defense, reloading this year, will handle him.
Well, they're going to keep him off balance because Smith will see reps at quarterback tonight. The Eaglets are teeing it up, and they're getting ready to kick. If you're listening to us on the internet, they'll be traveling from right to left. Beautiful night. And we are all set. One of Ohio's finest meets one of Michigan's finest. And we're pleased to bring this one to you. It's going to be a deep kickoff, and Bell is going to round under, and he'll take it, and it'll fall into the end zone. Actually, he fumbles it. And they're going to have to pull that one out at the 20-yard line. So the Panthers had put it in play 1st and 10 from its 20-yard line. The Whitmer Panthers starting offense, it'll be at center Dylan Bovia, Adam Hart, and Ben Rykovsky, at the guards. Lord Lowe and Austin Schaefer are your tackles. Zach Ryan is your fullback. The H-back is Casino Stacker. Your Z-back is Brendan Larkin, your quarterback, Matt Winsler, the X Factor, Chris Boykin, and then your tailback, Jamal Bell.
And keep an eye on the defensive line out of this 3-4 for the Eaglets, Steve. A lot of size up front.
Crisscross, counter trade. Good job.
They try to cross him up, but I tell you what, the big line for the Eaglets up front, there to make the play. There's number 57 in on that. That was Darian Tucker.
Same formation is going to
Well, you look up front, Julian Jones, 6 foot, 251 senior, and you also got big number 56, Josh Dabney at 6'1", 250 defensive tackle, a junior. So experience and size up on that line.
Winsler back to pass, throws in a double coverage. It's going to be complete for a short gain. That's going to be complete to Boykin.
And that time, Lamont Matheson on the coverage for the Eaglets. But this defensive backfield, Steve, for St. Mary's, you're looking at Tyson Smith, a junior, already been offered by Michigan State, has a lot of interest from a lot of Big Ten schools, and Jalen Watts Jackson as well, already committed to MSU. I mean, this is one of the better defensive backfields in St. Mary's.
Trips out to the right, and he's going to roll that way. He's looking. He's got a man complete. He's complete to Boykin for now. Move the chains from there. Right at the 31-yard line where he's upended. LaVon Matheson was in coverage right there, and he came up and made the stop. And the Panthers look to continue its quick-pace offense. Rhythm, and that's the key word, Mike Bauman, is rhythm.
Well, and here's that matchup we were looking for. Looking on the outside, you got Tyson Smith right there, number 4 for the Eaglets, and Chris Boykin, number 9 right there for the Panthers. Big 6'4" target, over 100 yards last week.
Twins to each side. Shotgun pistol formation. Winsler is going to pitch it out to Bell, and Bell to be controlled. And what I wanted to point out to you before that, just looking at that formation right there, what the Eaglets are doing is they're manning up on the outside. It's quarter coverage all the way across the field, Mike Bauman. And what they're doing is they're saying, look here, we're going to hunker down and control the run. So it might be a good idea for Whitmer to continue to throw the ball so they can be able to run the ball later on in this ball game.
Absolutely, and one thing they're going to have to do is establish that run a little bit, but they're going to get a little help here with the penalty. Looks like it may have been an inadvertent face mask on that play, only 5 yards.
So it'll be 1st and 5 as the officials will move the chains, move the ball 5 yards. And you see right there, if you look at the box right there, Mike Bauman, there's 7 in the box, 8 creeping down as you see the safety starting to creep in.
And you got trips left for Winsler.
Bell on the counter tray, and he's upended for a short gain.
And there's big number 56 again right there, Josh Dabney. And one thing to keep in mind about this team too, Steve, I mean, this is a team that's turned out 11 NFL players in recent years. One of those that you're familiar with as a Buckeye fan, Morgan Trent, former Michigan DB.
They definitely put out a lot of great talent here. Trips is out this time to the left. Empty backfield. Winsler back to pass. Short drop. Crossing pattern is almost intercepted. And coming across with the opportunity to pick that off is number 6 in there, Kenny Arnold.
Yeah, that one went right through his hands. You see that time Winsler opting for that short route. Still pretty good coverage that time by the Eaglets. Had Whitmer caught that pass, but so far so good on 1st and 2nd down for St. Mary's.
Whitmer going to go more conventional. They're going to put the tight end in the game. And there's a screen out to Bell. He picks up a block and a second block. He turns it up, and he'll be upended as he just near midfield at about the 49-yard line. 1st and 10, Whitmer Panthers.
Well, you saw that time, Steve. The Eaglets rushed 5. Winsler had to get rid of it in a hurry, and it sets up perfectly for that screen pass.
Well, and if you notice, that screen materializes on the same side of the field that the tight end was on. So the tight end provided the extra blocker on that side, enabling Winsler to make that short completion. 9:03 to go first quarter. Winsler trips out to his left. Empty backfield. Winsler, there's a bubble screen to Bell. And Kenny Arnold runs it down for a loss of 2. I tell you what, the Eaglets defense are recognizing the things that the Panthers are doing before they do it. You could almost see them adjust to the bubble screen before.
Well, in that time, that was great coverage by Kenny Arnold coming up there. sort of a hybrid position, but a linebacker at 6'1", 205 coming off the edge. This time you see him on the other side of the field, on the strong side.
Jet, bump out.
There's a jet sweep. He's going to be a keeper, and Winslow will keep it, and he'll be thrown down after he picks up a big gain. He'll pick up about maybe 10 or 11. He'll be just short of the first down. We'll call it 10. We'll make it 3rd and about 1.
We'll give credit that time to Whitmer's offensive line. Winslow read that right. Pretty good containment on the edge, not allowing Arnold to get loose, and he just turns it upfield and goes in between the hash marks. That was a good play that time by Winslow.
Zach Ryan reports into the liner, into the backfield. He checks in, and we may get our first look at him. You see the overload by the Eaglets. They're anticipating run. And the Panthers look like they're going to try to spread them out a little bit.
Yeah, and Bell's going to take a timeout here, try to get things together for this 3rd and short.
7:28 to go here in this first quarter. Timeout on the field, and we'll take timeout with them. It's the Whitmer Panthers and the Orchard Lake St. Mary Eaglets scoreless first quarter.
On the job for you for over 100 years. You need a career. You need a future. Local 8 can help you make it happen. Join the men and women who build our community. Become a part of a proud tradition. Build your career. Build your future with the brothers and sisters of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local Union 8. We're on the job for you.
We're on the job for you. We're the local IBEW.
Why are twice as many people choosing Verizon over any other carrier? Many choose us because we have the largest 4G LTE network. Others because of our reputation for reliability. Or maybe it's because we received J.D. Power & Associates Customer Service Award 4 times in a row. In the end, there are countless reasons, but one choice. That's powerful. Verizon.
TAS Electronics can turn a plain vehicle into your spectacular ride. Let TAS install a lush custom leather interior. Get tinted windows as low as $69. TAS installs rear view cameras that put backup worries behind you. TAS gives you the best sounds at the best prices with systems for all vehicles, including motorcycles, boats, RVs. With TAS, you'll look good and sound great.
TAS Electronics. Feel the power. TAS Electronics. It's hot.
The Union Plumbers, Steam Fitters, and HVACR service mechanics of UA Local 50 build the powerhouses that generate your electricity. Install and service your heating and air conditioning systems and install the plumbing systems that protect the health of this nation. Everywhere there's a building being built, retrofitted, or maintained, members of UA Local 50 are on the job with skills and the latest sustainable building practices to do the job right. UA Local 50 Plumbers, Steam Fitters, and service mechanics, building America's future.
And we welcome you back to Whitmer High School. Critical 3rd and 1 right here. The ball is placed on the 42-yard line of Orchard Lake St. Mary's. Winslow, inside handoff. Bell breaks a tackle, breaks another tackle, falls forward for a first down, and right there, I tell you what, that was all Jamal Bell.
It absolutely was. Austin Petrucci there, number 50, for the Eaglets, gets deep into the backfield, gets his ankles, and that time Bell just shakes him off and gets away. And that's the shiftiness of Jamal Bell, Steve. We've seen him before, saw a little bit of him last year, and his ability to make the first man miss is really what makes him special.
Trips out. Trips out to the right of Winslow. They're going to send Bell in motion. He's going to take it on a jet sweep, cut it upfield. He's looking at daylight, cuts it back again. Going to tuck the ball in. He's going to go down to the right, left sideline and be knocked out of bounds inside the 20 at about the 15-yard line.
And there's that shiftiness again, Steve, right there. You see Jamal Bell slip right up between the tackles, makes a second and third man miss and breaks it to the outside. And once again, that juke combined with that speed is what makes him so dangerous. Sometimes at the high school level, you see guys who just have that straight line speed, some guys who just have power. He's got the shiftiness to go along with his speed.
Winslow looking for the call. This is a long long drive being displayed here by the Whitmer Panthers, and I'll finish that thought in a second, Mike Bauman. Zach Ryan will try to get to the left side. He'll be strung out and run out of bounds. Nice job by the Eaglets just stringing that one out. But what we saw last week from Whitmer was quick strike capability. What we're seeing tonight is a methodical drive, and that's a great balance, and that's bad news for the high schools in this part because it's like, oh boy, these guys are back.
Well, they mix it up between the run and the pass, and you see, even though there's only 2 starters back on this team from last year, look at the size up front from that offensive line to get that initial push.
Winsler looking, surveying. He's going to pull it down. He'll be knocked down. The first one there was number 50, Austin Petrucci. Also in on the tackle was number 2, Lamont Matheson.
Yeah, he was also in on that run by Ryan on the short side of the field. But right here,
down. It'll be bring up 3rd and about 6. Let's call it.
I think you're going to see Winslow roll out here. Let's see what they do.
I look for the fade route right here, the big number 9 in the corner. There it is, the fade to the deep corner, the back corner of the end zone. He goes out of bounds, but I tell you what.
You called it. I thought they might go wide simply because on the short side of the field there, obviously you still have Boykin with that advantage at 6'4", going up against Tyson Smith, a very good cornerback, but doesn't have the height, obviously, of Boykin. But I thought with the way they were balancing that spread option all the way down the field that they might go wide side to Ryan or even roll out Winsler to give themselves more of an opportunity. But you got to let your playmakers have an opportunity to make plays.
Farhan, he'll try, and he will buy it. He had several field goals tipped last week. This one goes through for 3. So at the 5:22 mark of the first quarter, Whitmer strikes first. They lead St. Mary's 3-0. You're watching high school football right here on the Toledo Sports Network.
From the time you were a boy, you dreamed of wearing a Whitmer uniform under those Friday night lights and stepping onto that field, never alone, but with your teammates, family, friends, and Panther Nation.
Are you ready? Yes, sir! Have you worked harder than your opponent? Yes, sir! Are you ready to give your everything to overcome any obstacles that are in your way? Yes, sir! I know you are. I've seen what you can do, and I believe in you. Get in here, let's go!
Yeah!
And we welcome you back to Whitmer High School. Alongside Mike Bauman, I'm Steve Taylor. A long, methodical drive ending in a field goal. And Farhan will look to kick it off. And Farhan sends it. It's going to take a bounce and be picked up by one of the upbacks. Breaking a tackle and falling out across the 30 to about the 33-yard line was number 23. That was be Pierce Bauer, 5'9", 170-pound running back, sophomore.
And now this gives us an opportunity to check out Orchard Lake St. Mary's offense, which is going to be led tonight by Evan Henry, the 6'1", 180-pound junior quarterback. Last week, Steve, as I mentioned, Oak Park coming back late to win that game, but they put in Evan Henry at the end. He went 5 for 5 on the last drive that ended in the end zone.
He's going to turn around and hand. He's coming up, making the stop right away. Was a host of Panthers. But I tell you what, Christian Mikolajczyk is the playmaker from the line back in core.
Yeah, last week, 9 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. Just added another one to his total so far this year. But you look at the Whitmer Panthers, Steve, not only do they have a lot of numbers, obviously, because they've been so good the last couple of years, but they have a lot of size. And you look at some of the guys that they've sent to the next level, obviously Nick and Nate Howley at Kent State, but Storm Norton at Toledo, Lynch is now at Toledo, Marquise Moore started last week as a true freshman against Florida. These are some big boys that they pump out here at Whitmer.
Blitz coming from going inside and dumping it down nicely as he finds his target. Big tight end, Luke Bowers. Nice job by Evan Henry getting rid of it, recognizing the blitz, but it's going to bring up a 3rd and 6. So 3rd and long now. Henry's going to send twins to each side. Pistol, he's going to take and roll out. He's going to look to pull it down, and he's going to be knocked down rather rudely. First man there was number 92, Phil Hoskins.
Yeah, that time Hoskins and number 90, Jacob LaPointe, 6'2", 220 senior, doing a great job pinching down on Evan Henry that time. That hole closed real quick.
Going back deep for Whitmer beat Bell and Boykin.
Watch the guy coming off the edge. We pick it up. Oh, we missed number 2.
Hurst gets rid of it, angles it out of bounds, and it'll take a nice St. Mary's bounce inside the 20, and it'll be down at the 16-yard line.
It probably could have gone a little bit further that time, a little bit of a mental hiccup that time for St. Mary's, but nonetheless, still 85 yards to go now for this Whitmer Panthers team. 84, they're putting it at the 16. But really, Steve, you talked about the methodic drive of the Panthers, that first drive, mixing it up, going down the field. I thought the defensive line for Orchard Lake St. Mary's did a pretty good job on 1st and 2nd down until they got to about midfield, and that's when you saw Jamal Bell's skills open up, that big screen pass coming off the blitz, and then that huge run to get him inside the 10-yard line.
We'll get our first look at Chase Bodeman. Jet sweep. Bell cuts it back. Missed tackles because Mike Bauman, what you're seeing him tackling the football instead of trying to tackle the body.
Exactly. And that time an arm tackle attempt on Jamal Bell. And as we mentioned already, this guy is a really shifty running back. He's got a real low center of gravity, doesn't run too high, and it's hard to take him down in the first try. You really got to hit him at the waist or lower to bring down Jamal Bell. The pressure's been there so far for Orchard Lake St. Mary's, Steve. It's just been the ability to make him go down on that first hit.
Bodeman, he's going to keep it himself, and he'll be taken down on the inside by big number 36 for St. Mary's, and that's Josh Ross,
the freshman. I mean, and really, Steve, you can't say enough about this team when you look at what they've done. League champs the last 3 years in the Catholic League, district champs the last 4 years, regional champs the last 4 years, and state runner-up in 3 of the last 4 years, winning the state championship in 2011. Great football team here tonight.
Bodeman, he's going to pull it down and run the daylight, breaks a tackle, but he won't get close to the first down, and he'll be corralled. And getting off of the pile is number 44, Michael Lennon.
Good defensive stand that time, but once again, Orchard Lake St. Mary's having a tough time bringing down these Whitmer ball carriers on that first attempt, Steve. Let's see if that continues to play a factor as the game goes on.
Jalen Watts Jackson back deep. And he just lets it go. And it will come to a rest at about the 17-yard line, and that's where Orchard Lake will put it in play. 1st and 10. 57 seconds to go here in a rapid-moving first quarter.
Well, in that time, Jalen Watts Jackson, the senior, 6', 185, the Michigan State commit, letting the ball go by him a little bit. He's a playmaker now, Steve. He's got a lot of speed. The combination of himself and Tyson Smith really gives Orchard Lake St. Mary's one of the more intimidating and talented defensive backfield combos in the state of Michigan. And that time, just a little bit of a mental hurdle to not pick up the ball, and it takes a nice Whitmer bounce inside the 20.
And that'll be stacked up for a very minimal gain. Whitmer Panthers up to task right there. They're really controlling the line of scrimmage.
Well, when you look at the size up front, Steve, for the Panthers, you look at Hoskins at 6'5", 256. Houtland, 6'4", 280, only a sophomore. And then on the ends, you've got Blake Bengala at 6'3", 225, and Jacob LaPointe at 6', 220. I mean, so these guys are just absolutely huge up front for a high school football team.
Powerhouse footballers. They'll try to run it straight ahead and breaking a tackle and falling forward close to a first down. Looked like it was Kenny Arnold.
I think that may have been Mark Zanders on the carry.
Actually, yeah.
Number 5, and that time a great push by the Eaglets up front to put them in a first down situation, and let's see if they just close out the quarter here.
Well, they went wishbone formation right there, which gave them 2 extra blockers. And they were able to set the edge over there and get its first down just as the first quarter ends. So 12 minutes in the books. And the Whitmer Panthers are clinging to a 3-0 lead. We'll be back with much more high school football right here on the Toledo Sports Network.
Hope you're enjoying the game today. Hi, I'm Mike Jamison, president of ToledoSportsNetwork.com. Now, Channel 13 and the wonderful people here are bringing some great games to you each and every week. And we'd love to make your company part of what we're putting together here. We've got the reach and we've got the ability to get you out at a reasonable cost so that all of these wonderful people can talk about your business, whether it's on the internet, on live television, or live internet. You can give us a call at 419-514-1302. Let us spotlight what you have here with all of our unbelievable packages that we have. And we make it very cost effective for even the smallest business. Creative Video Imagery and the Toledo Sports Network is proud to bring you this game right here on 13.2, the Live Well Network.
Know that cozy, warm feeling when you cover up with that big comforter? Seagate Roofing can blow in Owens Corning Attic Cat insulation, and your whole house can have that same feeling. Owens Corning Attic Cat is the new way to insulate. In our area, you should have 18 inches of attic insulation. Take advantage of Seagate Roofing's introductory offer. Save money 2 ways. Our introductory offer and on those rising heating bills. Call Seagate today. Start saving money and stay cozy without the comforter.
244-LEAK Seagate.
Welcome back. Start of the second quarter. Alongside Mike Bauman, I'm Steve Taylor. We got a little movement up front. As jumping the gun was Phil Hoskins. There's going to be encroachment. That'll move the chains 5 yards. So 1st and 5 for St.Marys.
Well, St.Marys offensively kind of had to sit for a little while, had some opportunity to finally get on the field there towards the end and get a first down, but Whitmer really taking up a big chunk of the first quarter clock, Steve, with that first drive that they had, marching all the way down the field. But good stand by St.Marys to hold them to a field goal. So now let's see how they can do against this tough defense in this 4-3 from Whitmer.
They'll go for wishbone again. And hand it straight ahead on the dive. And moving the chains and picking up a first down. It's running very hard. It was Bauer, number 23. Well, the 3 things that they said that they wanted, that they were going to do, they were going to play base defense. They were going to play power football. And they knew if they were going to win this football game, Mike, they had to play mistake-free football.
Exactly. You know, George Port, he's been around a long time, been with this team a long time. Very, very good coach. Was named Detroit Lions Coach of the Week at one point last season. These guys have been in some battles, Steve, and they've had some heartbreaking losses. I mean, you're talking about a team that's been in the state runner-up the last several years. Were an overtime field goal kick away from winning the state championship for the second year in a row last year. So they faced very good competition, and they've done very well against very good competition. And coming in here tonight, this is such a treat for Northwest Ohio to have this game so early in the season. The most winningest team in the state of Ohio the last 3 years in Whitmer going up against the powerhouse in Michigan. I mean, it doesn't really get much better than this for high school football.
Line up in the power backfield again. Wishbone. And next man through is number 9, and that was Jeff Robinson. 230-pound fullback. It's going to set up a third and about 3.
Here's what I'm wondering.
Coming into the game for Whitmer's big number 77. I tell you what, here's a guy, Tank Cummings, 6'3", 350, sophomore. And I tell you what, his presence, along with number 78, that was Nick Jackson. Nick Jackson comes in at 5'10", 313. These guys, man, they plan to hog up the middle right there and not allow anything coming straight ahead on that power game.
I feel sorry for their parents, Steve. Those grocery bills got to be pretty high. These are some big dudes. I mean, you look at 78 right here coming off the field. I mean, there's a lot of size on that Whitmer front line on defense. And as we already mentioned, I mean, you look at some of these guys that they've turned out at the next level. You've got Elliott joining his former teammates and Nick and Nate Holly at Kent State next year. Storm Norton's a backup on the offensive line this year for the University of Toledo. He was a redshirt last year, so he's still got 4 years of eligibility. You have Lynch at the University of Toledo. I mean, Marquise Moore, as I mentioned, starting against the Florida Gators. How about that?
That's
Welcome
huge.
to college football.
Yeah.
Coming in as a freshman for that defensive line for the University of Toledo, and you just see the size and the development and the professionalism of this Whitmer football team, and that's why they've been able to win so many games these last several years. They have a lot of numbers, but you bring in a Whitmer guy and Jerry Bell after what they went through, a Whitmer guy who knows how to coach this team. I mean, there's a lot of professionalism on that field, and that's why it's translated to the next level.
Power meets power as we'll go straight ahead and getting to the edge. It's number 8, and he's trying to make it. Cuts down the sideline. He'll be knocked out of bounds. But I tell you what, a little bit too much pinch on the outside as Jeff Robinson makes it to the edge and makes a big play. So the biggest play of the game so far for St. Mary's. Gives them a 1st and 10.
Well, St. Mary's has got some size up front, too, and that time a great push. We've seen them get a chance to close to breaking daylight a few times, and that time he bounces it outside and shows his speed and gets to the edge.
Indeed he does. So 10:08 to go here in the period, and what's happening right now is Uncle Mo has certainly switched over to St. Mary's as the Eaglets will take it, try to dive again, and this time it'll be stuffed up front, and nothing can do. As number 23, Pierce Bauer, was swallowed up by the interior of that Panther defense.
Yeah, that time Uncle Mo met Uncle Freemark there, number 22 for Whitmer. Jordan Freemark coming in there from that linebacking spot, blowing up that dive from Pierce Bauer right there. That was just a great read.
And here they come up on the blitz. Coming off the corner, doing a good job and getting away, trying to get to the edge. Great blocks that he picks up. He's going to get to the sticks and looks like he's going to have enough for the 1st down. But I tell you what, Evan Henry did a good job at feeling where the blitz was coming from on his blind side and just kind of peeled out of it.
Well, that was a great play to make something out of nothing. That time Whitmer stacks the line, rushes, I believe, 7 that time. He sneaks by him and gets out to the outside. And, you know, this is a kid that's more of a traditional pocket passer, showing the ability that time with his legs to make something out of nothing.
So 1st and 10 now. Ball on the 19-yard line in the red zone. First time for the Eaglets. Straight ahead to try Bauer. He'll be stacked up. Getting off of that is Big Tank. Tank Cummings.
You know, and they've had some success. You talk about that wishbone, getting that extra blocker. Some of the misdirection and having that extra guy on the field has allowed them to break the gaps a couple of times between that Whitmer defensive line, Steve. Let's see if they bring that out here now that they're deep into the red zone to try to break through some of that front line pressure.
2nd and 8. This is the type of drive that St. Mary's really wanted to try to establish, try to control the front line. And coming up and making a serious hit was number 24, Marcus Elliott, coming up from his strong safety spot.
One of those guys that'll be at Kent State next year with the Holly brothers, who, by the way, have a big game tomorrow against Bowling Green that could really help shape that MAC East picture. But let's see right now if they don't try to spread it out and work the edges a little bit.
On
with this
35,
4-3.
they've had a lot of success running the football. I expect to see the power game again, maybe trying to get to the edge via the run.
Yeah, I watch out right here for Chris Crump.
And we're going to get a delay of game penalty. Clock is at 0, and that's got to hurt. That one's got to hurt.
Especially the way they've been able to move down the field on this drive against the Whitmer Panthers, Steve. I mean, we've seen those guys sort of bend but not break to this point. But when you have that huge run from Henry to put you deep into their territory and you get set back, that's a tough momentum killer right now. Let's see if they can bounce back here on this play.
So 3rd and 10, excuse me. Snap. Henry's got a man open, catches him on this crossing route, spinning, trying to get to the end zone, and getting there, scoring. This is number 4, Tyson Smith.
Wow, what a play that time. And you saw on the outside, Elliott slid over to help cover Watts Jackson, it looked like. I think that's who Henry was looking for over on that side. He's one of their top playmakers at the receiver position, the Michigan State commit. And instead, he finds Smith over the middle, and Smith makes a great play.
I mean, as the extra point is getting ready to go up, it'll be attempted by Hurst. And that'll be up. And it'll be good. So 7:51 in the second quarter. St.Marys strikes, and they lead it 7-3. Alongside Mike Bauman, I'm Steve Taylor. And Mike, let's just go back to that touchdown again. It's 3rd and 10. And what the quarterback, Henry, does is he takes and he moves the pocket. And what that does is it makes the Whitmer linebackers bite. And he let his wide receiver just kind of drag. That's a simple drag route. They send Tyson Smith across on a drag route, but he gets in front of the safety, behind the linebackers, and Henry caught him wide open, made a fine pass, and the rest was all the athleticism of Tyson Smith.
Well, it was, and it was a great read by Henry because I really think that they were trying to pay attention to Watts Jackson on the outside there. Elliott slid over a little bit from that back safety spot, and that opened up the middle of the field when he jogged across just enough to allow that little space for Tyson Smith to operate. But I think moving the pocket also kind of led to that shift a little bit for the Whitmer defense. But a great methodical drive nonetheless for Orchard Lake St. Mary's.
But that's one of those drives that you learn that the Whitmer coaching staff will take and show what you did wrong here. You linebackers, you have to play your position, play your man. That kick is going deep, and Elliott will let it go, bouncing to the end zone. So the Panthers will put it in play 1st and 10, trailing by 4. So we'll see. The way that they've been offensively doing this is they've been flip-flopping quarterbacks. I expect to see Winsler here in this situation. You know, again, more the natural passer, does have athleticism, but he did a great job at really engineering that opening drive for the Whitmer Panthers, and they need some more of that stability right about now.
Well, one thing you learn from experience as a quarterback, too, that'll come with experience is taking what the defense gives you, and he did a great job of that on that initial drive.
There's a quick counter. It'll be tripped up for very little gain. Number 56 was getting off the pile right there. That would have been Josh Dabney.
Tell you what, he's been a force tonight up front in that 3-4.
Hey, wins open, watch lead. Lead or lead keep. He's checking. Bluff.
Winsler is going to throw it out. He's got his tail back. Missed tackle, but coming up, knocking him down. The ball carrier was number 50, Austin Petrucci.
Yeah, that time he comes off the edge, looks like he's going to go full bore, and he sees that Winsler's going to pass it and drops back and is able to make the tackle before Whitmer can pick up any more yardage. So great read that time by Petrucci.
6:44 and counting here in the second quarter. Windsor letting the play clock go down. It's under 10 seconds.
5 seconds.
They're going to let it go down and probably call timeout. So timeout, 6:27 to go here in this second quarter. Can Whitmer continue to drive? We'll find out when we come back to high school football right here on the Toledo Sports Network. As Whitmer is looking at a 3rd and 5. Windsor opts to go twins to each side with the tight end.
Look at Bell lined up in the slot right here in motion.
Bell fakes the jet. He's going to go deep down the field, trying to get his big tight end who is lined up in the slot.
Hold on. Here comes punt team.
And punt team is going to come in as he tried to hook up with big number 81, Andrew Shurik.
And there was a Spartan commit that time, Jalen Watts-Jackson on the coverage. Pretty good coverage that time. Gets his hands on the ball a little bit, and it just goes out of the reach of Ross Moore, the 5'8", 160-pound junior. So a couple of opportunities here for turnovers that have just been out of the reach of St. Mary's.
And this one here will go out of bounds. And St. Mary's will get another look at it with 6:17 to go and Uncle Mo on his side.
Well, they had a lot of success in the run game that time, Steve, on their previous drive. I thought they did a pretty good job breaking through that defensive line of Whitmer, especially getting to the edge. But really, I thought that the key of that drive was Henry scrambling and being able to make something out of nothing near midfield to get him deep into Whitmer territory. So let's see if Whitmer tries to bring a little bit more pressure up the middle this time to try to halt that run game for the Eaglets.
Well, they're going to have to try to man up and try to figure this power running game out, because I tell you what, the Eaglets are starting to really dominate both sides of the line of scrimmage. And Bauer on the carry. And Jordan Frymark on the tackle. Power game again. Henry has to pull it down. Being flushed out. Throws it at the last moment. It's going to be incomplete. as he just tries to shovel pass it out to Mark Zanders.
Well, he just slipped away from LaPointe on that scramble the previous drive to break it to the outside, and that time LaPointe says, you're not going anywhere. Still gets it away for a little short pass to Mark Zanders, but nonetheless, now 3rd and 7.
Big 3rd down for the Whitmer defense. 3rd, and we call it 7. Twins each side is going to stop and throw, Grout. It's going to be caught, complete, but falling down just short of the 1st down marker was Jalen Watts-Jackson, and it looked like Jalen had a chance to pick up that 1st down, Mike.
Yeah, it's going to be close, about a yard out. And I think they're going to play it safe and bring in the punt team. But that time, pretty good move to make Whitmer miss on the initial catch. I think that was number 12 in the coverage for Whitmer. But he slipped and didn't get an opportunity to turn it upfield. Tried to make a play. You can't fault the young man there. Sometimes the ball bounces your way, sometimes it doesn't.
Whitmer calls timeout there. A little out of sorts right there. And they have no more timeouts left in this 1st half. 4th and 1, and and probably not a bad place for a timeout here. You really want to, if you have a fake in your arsenal, the field position isn't too bad for you to try that here. Your defense has really done a good job at controlling the line of scrimmage. In fact, both sides of the line of scrimmage currently is being dictated by the Eaglets.
Well, I think you play it safe here, though, Steve. I mean, Whitmer gets the ball first, has that methodic first drive of the game. The defense held them to a field goal after they got all the way down the field, so that was a pretty good stand. At this point, you're up 7-3. You get the ball to start the second half. You've had Whitmer off balance a little bit defensively. If it were me, even though I like a little trickery every now and again in football and sometimes taking a shot, I would play it safe here, because if you don't get it, then you turn the ball over and you've got Winsler and Bodeman who have an opportunity inside the 50-yard line to make a play. And we still haven't seen them go to Chris Boykin a whole lot in this game. And that could become a factor in the second half to try to get the ball in his hands as well. So I think the smart choice here really is to punt it and let your defense hold to close the half.
And they did just that, left the defense out. Nelson, that's going to take a bounce. St. Mary's bounce, and it'll be down inside the 5 at about the 1. Excellent punt. Great air under that punt.
And Lamont Matheson that time doing a great job running downfield to get that ball before it goes in the end zone. But you even saw the way he kicked it, Steve. That had a nice high bounce to it after it hit the turf. I mean, that was a great punt.
Winsler will be your quarterback, so and I think at some point this season that Whitmer is going to have to really settle down to one guy being your guy, and I believe this guy has the potential to do that. He's going to throw it underneath to Bell. Bell breaks a tackle, and he's in space. He's at the 20 to 25, 30. One man to beat as he steps out of bounds. He'll be knocked down at just short of midfield.
And that was a potentially touchdown-saving tackle that time by Austin Petrucci. Again, coming up big for Whitmer. But when you look at the replay right here, once again, Bell making the first man miss. The coverage was there, but couldn't wrap up the feet and the ankles. And once again, Bell makes a big play. And I don't think we've seen him go down on the first hit tonight.
Not at all. He stepped out at the 34-yard line. And it's going to be a timeout now for St. Mary's. So 4:33 to go here in the second quarter before the half. It's St. Mary's 7, Whitmer 3. You're watching high school football right here on the Toledo Sports Network.
The union plumbers, steam fitters, and HVACR service mechanics of UA Local 50 build the powerhouses that generate your electricity. Install and service your heating and air conditioning systems, and install the plumbing systems that protect the health of this nation. Everywhere there's a building being built, retrofitted, or maintained, members of UA Local 50 are on the job with skills and the latest sustainable building practices to do the job right. UA Local 50 plumbers, steam fitters, and service mechanics, building America's future.
4:33 to go here in the second quarter. Whitmer on the drive. There's a jet sweep. Trying to get to the edge is Bell. Bell, one man to beat. He's going to get there, but I tell you what, getting there with bad intentions was number 1, Jalen Watts Jackson.
And that was great pressure that time off the edge from Jalen Watts Jackson. You see the speed and athleticism of him. Once again, a Division I recruit chasing him down out there. I think some of the Whitmer fans, some of the Whitmer fans wanted a penalty that time for maybe a horse collar. It was questionable, but nonetheless, pretty good coverage that time.
2nd and 9, 4:26 to go. Inside handoff, nothing doing as St. Mary's is up to the task. So minimal gain right there. It'll be 3rd and call it about 8. 4:14 and counting.
Play brings up 3rd down and 7.
Under 4 minutes to go.
Jeff, make sure that backer knows who he's got.
Winsler back to pass. Got a man wide open, complete. And there goes that guy Bell again. He's got one man to beat, and they're not going to get him until he gets to the 1 yard line, the 1 inch line.
Big 63-yard play that time to Bell. And you see he just gets behind the coverage. And once again, that shiftiness right there, he turns around Watts Jackson. Watts Jackson catches up with him at about the 1 yard line. But just a big play capability once again, Steve, of Jamal Bell and the Whitmer Panthers, 2 huge plays on this drive to get deep into St. Mary's territory.
They're going to go jumbo this time. Full house backfield. Straight ahead, Zach Ryan, he'll be just short of the first down, goal line.
And you know, on that last play with Bell, to break that down, Steve, a lot of pressure that time by St. Mary's for the Eaglets to get towards Winsler, and he just gets that ball off. And I think it just kind of had one of those hiccup moments with the defense thinking the pressure is going to get there, and Bell just uses his legs to get behind the coverage and finds him in a good spot. That was a great play by Winsler.
No, the ball on the ground, and it'll be recovered by St. Mary's right there at about the 4 yard line.
Wow, what a turn of events for the Whitmer Panthers. That time, Zach Ryan on the fumble. But once again, give credit to the pressure, Steve, of the Eaglets. I mean, even if Ryan holds on to that, I mean, I still don't know that he's getting in the end zone that time.
You're absolutely right, Mike. And it was the exchange between Winsler and Ryan right there was what cost him chance at points, getting on the board.
What do we cut?
Boy, and that's a heartbreaker if you're the Panthers that time. The huge play, 2 huge plays from Jamal Bell to set up that 1st and goal opportunity. And you got to give credit, though, where credit's due, to the resilience of this Orchard Lake St. Mary's team, Steve.
Yeah. And inside right there, handoff, nothing doing. No gain at all. 2nd and 10. 2:34 to go here in this first half. A slugfest. One of Ohio's best, playing host to one of the best in Michigan.
You know, and like any football game, Steve, it usually comes down to 3 or 5 plays that really make a big difference in the game. So far, we've had 3 big ones from Jamal Bell. We had 2 big ones from Henry, and now just this fumble.
Quick toss route on the outside. Try the ISO on the outside. Nothing doing. Tight coverage over there by number 11. And that's Bailey Hinkle.
And this is where you got to be careful if you're the Eaglets, Steve. You got 3rd and 10 on your own 4 yard line. Still 2:05 left in this half. We had a pretty quick first quarter in terms of the drives. Or actually, it was a pretty long first quarter. But you still have an opportunity here. You want to try to get it to about the 20, because you don't want to give Whitmer a short field to work with, especially especially after the big plays we saw from Jamal Bell. We had a great punt last time we saw from these guys, so let's see if they can't try to get them out towards midfield, because there's still a lot of time on the clock for the Panthers to try to get close to the end zone for either a field goal or touchdown before the half's over.
Panthers have no timeouts left. And the clock running, and the 25, the play clock hasn't begun yet to tick.
You can do that with the official, can't you?
And back deep is Boykin and Bell, the killer bees. A big defensive stand right there, and St. Mary's doing a great job at just letting it play down. And they're going to call timeout right here with 1:13 to go in this first half. Alongside Mike Bauman, I'm Steve Taylor. Bringing you all the action from right here. And while we got a break, it gives me a time to say thanks to some of the people who help make telecasts like this possible, like our good friends over at the IBEW Local 8, and TAS Electronics, and then our Local 50. These guys making these kind of telecasts possible. If you would like to be a part of this and help promote your business, give us a call at 419-514-1302. And my good buddy Mike Jamison will get you taken care of. Toledo Sports Network. We also ask you to tune in to our shows. We have golfing shows and football shows. I even think we got a cooking show, Mike Bauman. 8 to 9 o'clock Sunday mornings, 106.5.
Yeah, you can tune into the craziness that is that morning radio show. We moved from Saturdays to Sundays now, so you get to hear us before you take in your NFL action and go to church on Sunday. You might have to go to church after listening to us.
You may want to do that. 1:13 to go. Getting it off is going to be a good high kick. Bell will take it at the 50. He's got room to go. Stutter steps, cuts back to daylight. He's crossing the 40, then you go down at about the 37-yard line. So Whitmer will have 1:02 to do business.
There's a minute left in the game. You can still run the ball here.
Well, you know what, and it's been first class here, Steve, for us up here with the Whitmer Panthers. We just had the kids come up here and bring us some food. We've had some of the guys help us out here with our monitors. I mean, we couldn't ask for a nicer group of people here at Whitmer High School to help set us up. And I'm a former Washington local kid as well, going to Hiawatha, so it's kind of nice to be back at some of these old stomping grounds out here.
Wensler, back to pass, surveying the situation. He's going to stop, throw, complete. Boykins. He's going to fall forward for the first down out to the 25-yard line. So 1st and 10, Whitmer Panthers at the 25-yard line of the St. Mary's Eaglets.
And let's see if they try to go to him more in the second half, and even on this drive, split wide here. And we're going to see Tyson Smith.
You might want to watch the toss to him right here. And it goes directly to him. Boykin, and he gets it another first down inside the 10 to the 5, and we have a flag down.
And it looks like it was the same play, Steve, just on the other side of the field. Boykin cuts in, just kind of sits in the middle of the defense, and I think we're going to get a face mask here on the takedown.
That's on us. It's a fucking face mask.
So let's see if it's of the 5-yard or...
It's a big one. This one here will be marched half the distance to the goal with 43 seconds to go, and the Panthers are in business now.
And Zach Ryan back on the field. Get a second opportunity here for Whitmer to get into the end zone. And once again, just the playmaking capabilities and the big play capabilities of the Whitmer Panthers got down here in 2 plays.
Inside handoff. Actually, he's going to keep and try to throw it out to Zach Ryan, but he was covered tightly.
Well, and great pressure there that time by number 6, Kenny Arnold, coming off the edge there at that linebacking spot. Getting in Winsler's face, make him get rid of it in a hurry.
Watts Jackson on the coverage. 27 seconds to go. Whitmer in no hurry.
And you got number 81 coming in for Whitmer. on the short side, and you got Boykin split wide on the outside.
Trips over there. I wouldn't be surprised to see him throw to him over there on the go route. That's exactly what they do. That's a stop and go. And he's going to be knocked out of bounds just short of the goal line, it looks. But I tell you what, he just runs a wheel.
Yep, he runs a wheel, gets a little separation that time. I believe it was against Smith on the coverage. And he extends the reach for the end zone, and they mark him about a foot short.
But the time is going down. Under 10 seconds. Whitmer, not a lot of time. 5, 4, 3. Last play of the half. It's up. Throws it away. So the St.Marys defense holds and turns away the Whitmer Panther drive attempt. So 1 half in the books, and St.Marys Eaglets, they lead the Whitmer Panthers 7-3. We'll be back with much more. You're watching high school football right here on the Toledo Sports Network.
TAS Electronics can turn a plain vehicle into your spectacular ride. Let TAS install a lush custom leather interior. Get tinted windows as low as $69. TAS installs rear view cameras that put backup worries behind you. TAS gives you the best sounds at the best prices with systems for all vehicles, including motorcycles, boats, RVs. With TAS, you'll look good and sound great.
TAS Electronics. Feel the power. TAS Electronics. It's hot.
On the job for you for over 100 years. You need a career. You need a future. Local 8 can help you make it happen. Join the men and women who build our community. Become a part of a proud tradition. Build your career. Build your future with the brothers and sisters of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local Union 8. We're on the job for you.
We're on the job for you. We're the local IBEW.
And we welcome you back to Panther Stadium. 7-3 is your halftime score. Alongside Mike Bauman, I'm Steve Taylor bringing you all the action. 10 first downs for Whitmer, the majority of those in that opening drive. St.Marys really settled down and really kind of hammered down the adjustments. Which team adjusts best first? It's really going to go light years in winning this game. If you're Whitmer, you've got to just take advantage of your opportunities. You know, and if you're St.Marys, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. I mean, and you look at some of the rushing yards in the first half, really a pretty good job by both teams. 14 carries for 59 yards for Orchard Lake St. Mary, 16 for 51. Pretty even there, but the key, 156 to 36 in the passing yard game. Winsler's done a pretty good job, and we kind of expected that because Orchard Lake St. Mary's style, talking to Coach Port before the game, they're a smash mouth football team. They've done a pretty good job of establishing the run, but the key, I think, in this game for Whitmer is you got to get Boykin involved in the second half as well. Try to take some opportunities on the outside.
Jamal Bell, the recipient of a lot of that on a 63-yard reception. He has 4 catches. He's over the C note, 107 yards receiving for Jamal Bell. It's going to be a short pooch kick, and it'll be taken at about the 25-yard line. Covering up the ball and being knocked down at the 35-yard line.
And looking at some of these other first half stats, brought to you by WhitmerFootball.com. Special shout out to Dave up there for hooking us up with those stats. Lamont Matheson leading the Eaglets with tackles with 5.5, and you got Frymark for Whitmer leading the team with 3.5 tackles. But really, Jamal Bell has been the key offensively for the Panthers, as you mentioned, Steve. 4 catches, 107 yards, and 6 carries for 33 yards, averaging 5.5 yards a carry for the Panthers.
Boy, single wing, trying to get to the outside. Holding on to the ball nicely as he's wrestled down was Zanders. Jordan Frymark. Again, Frymark, a very active linebacker.
Well, 5'11", 200 pounds. He's been doing a good job coming out of that slot or that spot back there for the linebacking core of Whitmer to rush up and get into the backfield. Usually about the line of scrimmage, we've seen him make a couple tackles here tonight.
Straight ahead. And just getting back to the line of scrimmage is Pierce Bauer.
You know, and really, for people who are just joining us, I mean, Whitmer did a great job, had a great methodical first drive of the football game going all the way down the field. Orchard Lake St. Mary's holds them to a field goal. But you look at the second quarter, a huge play by quarterback Evan Henry scrambling away from the Whitmer defense to get deep into Whitmer territory to set up their first touchdown. And that was really a big turning point for them offensively in that first half.
Ball on the ground. Henry does a good job at picking it up. He's looking, got a man open out there, throws it over the wrong shoulder. And it is going to be incomplete. St. Mary's looking for a pass interference call. He did grab him. However, Mike, that ball was clearly over his head when he grabbed him. So no harm, no foul. It'll bring up fourth down. So it's punt time for the Eaglets.
Good defensive stand here to open the drive for Whitmer. But this kid has a leg on him.
That ball is going to bounce off of number 2 for St. Mary's. That's Lamont Matheson, and then Matheson covers it up. But that ball was touched at about the 26-yard line, and that's where the Panthers are putting in play, 1st and 10.
Well, and you talked about a little bit the first half, Steve, mixing it up between Winsler and Bodeman. And you think that at some point in the season they'll have to go with one guy and just bring the other guy in as in feature situations?
Well, you know, you like to have that one guy, man, that really grasps the reins of your offense, you know, and I think we're starting to see it now as that's going to be pitched out real quickly, a quick pitch and catch. And making that play was number 2, and that was like casino slacker. So 2nd and 2. Inside handoff, nothing doing as Bell is wrapped up at the point of attack. First man there, number 9, Jeff Robinson.
And I tell you what, once again, great initial pressure from St. Mary's up front. And once again, you know, this is a team for Whitmer, even though they have the size, Steve, only 2 starters back on offense from last year. One of those being the guy you're seeing running out here to the wide side, Chris Boykin. So that inexperience right now is showing itself a little bit through the first 2 quarters and now a little bit here into the third quarter of this game against a very talented St. Mary's team that reloads every single year.
There's a bubble screen. Outside and coming up, making a great tackle in space was Tyson Smith. Slacker was the ball carrier, but Slacker was just drilled.
Well, but you know what? Even though Whitmer didn't get a first down there, Steve, I like what they did that drive a little bit, trying to get out of that pressure in between the hashes and work the edges of the field a little bit. They've broken a couple of those plays earlier in this game with Bell. So to go for those opportunities again, I think was a wise decision.
That ball's on the ground, but it's picking it up. It's Jackson, and he's going to go down in a heartbeat.
And that time, Mac on Big Ten right there. Elliott bringing down the Michigan State recruit. Great coverage that time, but I thought Watts Jackson that time did make the right move by catching the football. We saw him earlier in this game let the ball go deep into their own territory by not catching that punt. So, and that was a great punt. I mean, we've got some good special teams right here in this game tonight, and that's making a huge difference with the field position for both teams.
Absolutely. That's the thing. Whitmer is changing. Their special teams is changing the field position right here. Now, if the defense can come up with a big 3 and out and get their offense the ball back in pretty good field position. Inside handoff, nothing doing. The Panthers all over it.
Well, last week you did the Perrysburg game, and I believe that Whitmer had 2 turnovers in that game. Does that sound right? They
2
had
turnovers.
Interception and was it a fumble? And this game they had 1, was Zach Ryan, who had a great game last week. He's a tough kid, a tough runner. But we talked about it, though. Give credit to Orchard Lake St. Marys. There was a lot of pressure on that play, and there really wasn't anywhere for him to go. Whitmer still got another crack at it at the end of the half there. But I think if you're Whitmer right now, Steve, you need that big play on defense. You need to generate a turnover because these guys have been playing very efficient ball, have the Eaglets.
2nd and 11, quick pass, complete. And being knocked out just short of the 20-yard line. Smith on the reception. Elliott on the tackle as he upends Smith. So 7:32 to go, and we're looking at 3rd and 4, big third down for the Panthers.
And watch the wide side of the field this time. Again, remember when they scored that touchdown, that's what they did. They rolled Henry outside the pocket. Let's see what they do here.
They're going to roll him out again. He's got a man open, but it's being almost intercepted as reading that all the way was number 8, Matt Sutter. And Matt should have had that one walking into the end zone.
They were ready for it, Steve. It was great coverage. Once again, dragging across the field, Henry locks onto his receiver that time, and Sutter's just sitting there waiting for it. You know what? Didn't get the turnover, but once again, right here at about the 19-yard line, even if he boots this 30, 40 yards, they're going to have an opportunity to set up shop again inside the 50.
Punt is on his way. High kick. Boykins will settle in at the 40. He'll go straight ahead, make one move, trying to get to the edge. He breaks the tackle, and he's down the sideline. He'll be knocked out of bounds as he crosses midfield at about the 40. Actually, make that 38-yard line. Great return. And the Panthers are in business, 1st and 10 with 7:03 to go here in the 3rd quarter.
And, you know, you can see the body language of Boykin. Even before that final play in the defensive drive, he took a breather here, got up, rushed back up to the sidelines to get ready to go in to return that kick. 3 catches of his 5 in the first half were on that final Whitmer drive where they ended it at about the half-yard line. So he wants to go out there and make plays for his team, and that's what you want out of one of your most talented guys. So let's see if they keep going to him.
Fake on the inside. They're going to throw the bubble screen back behind.
And I think he intercepted that ball.
I don't know if he intercepted it or I don't know if it was a fumbled. But let's see if we can pick up on it. Exactly what happens on this replay.
I think Petrucci that time intercepted that football. I think it went right into the hands of Jamal Bell, and Petrucci right there read the play right away and got his hands and just took it away from him. I think that was an interception that time, Steve. But you know what? That kid, number 50, Petrucci, has been coming off the edge all day, making great plays, and he read that perfectly that time. And you know what? Whitmer, I think, is doing what they've needed to do, which is kind of work the outside of the field a little bit, work the edges against that big defensive line to spread out the field. And that time, just a great read.
Pitch. Trying to get to the edge, and nothing doing. Coming up big, making that play was number 24, Marcus Elliott, the strong safety. Totally wiping that out.
And speaking of playmakers making plays, there's your Kent State commit. I know I'm beating a dead horse a little bit, but I'm proud. I'm proud of the Toledo guys getting to that next level, Division I. By the way, shout out to a guy we covered for a long time. Side note, Kyle Nutter, preferred walk-on down at Cincinnati. But that's a great play that time from one of their best playmakers, and Marcus Elliott had an INT return for a touchdown last week against Perrysburg, doing a great job reading the edge that time against the Eaglets.
Henry back to pass, throwing down the seam. Dangerous pass, I'm telling you, coming over the top. Making a fine play was the free safety. Tyler Snyder coming over from his free safety spot to bat that one away.
A lot of size, too, at 6'2", 190. I mean, these guys are built, a lot of these players on this Whitmer team and this Orchard Lake St. Marys team, I mean, they're built like college kids. I mean, when you look at the size of their lines and even their defensive backs, I mean, these guys have some size on them.
Rolling the pocket, and we're going to get flags on this one. I think we're going to get a little bit of false start.
Yep.
And the Whitmer defense continuing to be play stingy.
Well, once again, you see the life injected into this team a little bit by their playmakers making plays. Boykin having that big return, even though they end that first drive without getting a score. First play of this drive, Elliott coming up big on the side, making a huge play. I mean, these guys are doing their best right now to really stunt the growth of this offense, and so far they've done a good job this quarter.
Going to roll the pocket again. Going to blitz from the blind side. Throws on the real route. That was a sluggo. What I mean by that, Mike Bauman, he runs a slant and go, and he, being number 4, Tyson Smith, he runs a slant and go. It's just out of the outstretched hands of Smith. And now turn it over on downs, 4th and 19. And it'll give the Whitmer offense a chance to get back on the field.
You know, with Smith that time turning upfield, turns on the afterburners a little bit. Maybe he catches up to that one, but it was pretty good coverage by the Panthers that time. Let's see if they can get another good kick out of this.
High kick. It's going to take a bounce. It'll be corralled by Whitmer. Bell breaking away again and again. And
even with 3 guys on him, he still makes the first man miss. That kid's got some skills in those feet, I tell you what. But you know what, Steve? I really do, even despite the turnover on that last drive, I think Winsler kind of, stuck with his man there going to Bell. Bell had over 100 yards receiving that first half. He kind of locked onto him, but I think the idea is right from the play calling to try to work the edges of this field a little bit against his defense.
Well, I think if, you're right, Mike, because I think you're going to have to try to work the edges, but in addition, you're going to just have to pretty much take what they give you because they're being very stingy. I believe that St. Mary is really dominating both sides, both line of scrimmages. Boldman comes in, he gets his chance, tries the option, nothing doing.
And a couple of kids who've been in there all day are number 56 and 57, Dabney and Darian Turner for the Eaglets. Really all day, Steve, have been getting pretty good pressure up front. And, Whitmer, I mean, they might have the toughest start to a season amongst all the Northwest Ohio teams. I mean, when you look at opening up with a pretty good team in Perrysburg, Orchard Lake, St.Marys this week, as I said before, 3 out of the last 4 state championships, runner-up, winning in 2011. Next week, they go to Detroit Catholic Central. Then they open their track schedule at Central Catholic. I mean, this is a tough test for this team coming off of the year that they had.
Jets and Bodeman is going to keep it himself. He'd get positive yards, but he'll be short of the first down. He'll be knocked down after a gain of about 4, maybe 5.
Now, what do you do here? Do you put Bell in the slot and try to go for that again, or do you try to hit one deep with Boykin over the top? Because we really haven't seen them throw a deep ball to Boykin yet this game.
Well, what you're looking at more so is misdirection, especially with Chase Bodeman. You're going to see a lot of misdirection. I expect to see misdirection again. Bell on the jet sweep, whether he gives it or not, but I do believe Bell will be involved in this. Complete on the drag route. Stacker.
And he stepped up here, made 3 catches now here in the third quarter, get him involved in the ball game.
Well, Casino had a big weekend last week, making big plays. He was part of that quartet out there making big plays for the Whitmer Panthers.
I was going to say something really cheesy, but I'm not going to say it. Something to the effect of Casino cashing in on us. Yeah, we'll leave that one alone. First down, Whitmer. We'll leave it alone.
Inside, keeping it his Bodeman. He picks up a block, cuts it back. He'll be knocked down. Number 44 in on that tackle by St. Marys. Yeah, that was Michael Lennon. Gain of 5 on the carry.
You see the physicality of Bodeman, too. I mean, the way he's built, the way he runs the football. We talked about it before the game, and this is my first opportunity to cover them this year, but I definitely would say that Winsler has more of the passing game of the two. But you can't deny the fact that Bodeman gives him a chance to, I think, develop some more counters because kids know when he's got the ball in his hands that there's a chance that he's going to run it for a few big gains too. So I like that dynamic for Whitmer. And, you know, you got to remember last year, too, they got that production from one guy.
One guy.
Holly. They had one guy who had the legs, and he had a pretty good arm. So, you know, to kind of keep that rhythm going, I can understand why they're playing two quarterbacks this year, to try to give both looks to the defenses that they play and keep them on their toes.
That's hard count is going to make the Eaglets jump. I think they're going to be drawn off sides, and it'll be a cheap 5 yards, and that'll move the chains, Mike.
You know, they've played pretty disciplined football in the first half. I mean, as far as penalties, 3 for 13 yards, 1 for 5 yards for Whitmer in that first half. So only the fourth penalty tonight for Orchard Lake St. Marys.
Inside handoff on the zone read. And Bell will be stopped. Number 7, the first one there for St. Marys, Julian Jones. We'll give Bell 2 on that tote. Brings up 2nd and 8 with 2:25 to go here in this third quarter.
I still would like to see Whitmer try to go deep with Boykin. At the very least, with his size, I think you can even try to get a chance for a flag with the pass interference because he's so big on the outside.
The sweep actually faked that, and Bowman's going to keep it himself. He'll spin. Picking up positive yards. It'll pick up third and about make it 6.
Now let's see if they either go trips or 4 wide here. They had some success towards the end of the second half.
Speed all over the field. Twins out to the right with Boldman. And he's going to run the bubble. Throws it back under, and great contain right there. Kenny Arnold, first one in there.
And he put a good lick on him, too. And that time, they only rushed 4. So they left that, I want to say 5 guys in coverage just at that second level that time, and making Whitmer beat him underneath and taking away that deep ball by only rushing 4 guys. That was a good defensive set that time from Orchard Lake St. Marys.
Winsler's coming in to punt. You can't fall asleep on him. Winsler, he gets it off high, booming kick. Gonna take a Panther bounce, and it'll be down inside the 20 at the 13-yard line. So 42 seconds to go here in this third quarter, and both defenses flexing his muscle. Alongside Mike Bauman, I'm Steve Taylor, bringing you all the action. And this game comes down to the first drive of the first quarter and the first drive of the second quarter. And it's been pretty quiet offensively ever since.
Yeah. Well, and I think you look at the trenches, not to belabor the point here, but when you look at the size up front for Whitmer and for St. Marys, I mean, there are some big boys up there. And I think the line of scrimmage has pretty much been won so far by St. Marys on both sides of the football.
Absolutely.
I think Whitmer did a pretty good job there in that first quarter. But since that time, the Eaglets have really, I think, done a great job of controlling the line of scrimmage and finding a way with that wishbone that they do in that power running system to mix it up a little bit.
Sponsors. And 10 seconds to go here. Power full house backfield turn, handoff. Tripped up just before he gets to the 20. And that is pretty much going to do it. So 3 quarters in the book, and we'll be back for the fourth quarter. We'd like to say thanks to those at the local IBW for helping making these telecasts possible. And Taz Electronics. We'll be back with the fourth quarter. Can Whitmer come back? We'll find out when we come back to high school football on the Toledo Sports Network.
Why are twice as many people choosing Verizon over any other carrier? Many choose us because we have the largest 4G LTE network. Others because of our reputation for reliability. Or maybe it's because we received J.D. Power and Associates Customer Service Award 4 times in a row. In the end, there are countless reasons, but one choice. That's powerful. Verizon.
St. Mary's nursing a 4-point lead alongside Mike Bauman. I'm Steve Taylor bringing you all the action. Big third down for the Panther defense. They need a big stop here, Mike.
They absolutely do. They had a chance at the turnover in the third quarter.
There's a big side handoff, and he's got one man to beat. Can he run him down? And taking it inside the 20-yard line, and there's the big hitter that they've been looking for. You know, they've been throwing those power bombs. Well, they finally hit him with a quick jab, and I tell you what, it really opened up huge.
Well, and you look back at that third quarter, Steve, Whitmer defensively was starting to build up a little momentum, and they read the play perfectly, and I think it was number 8 on the coverage for Whitmer. I think it was Matt Sutter. Read the play perfectly, the rollout with Henry. Henry locked in on his receiver, and an interception went right out of his hands. And I really think a turnover there inside the 15-yard line, the 20-yard line of St. Mary's would have been huge for the Whitmer Panthers. They had a couple of big plays, but just couldn't catch a break. And now this time, a little bit of a heady play. I think that's Hoskins, rather.
And there's a little bit of chippiness going on out there on both sides. As we're going to get some penalty flags that's going to move it.
And let's see if they hit him with 15 for knocking him down at the end of the play.
It's only going to be the 5-yarder, so that'll move him up 5 yards. So 1st and 5 now for St. Mary's.
Well, I tell you what, Steve, I think the Panthers may have catching a break there at that time. Hoskins at the end of the play, I don't know if it was just momentum. It was kind of hard to tell up here, but taking out the running back like that certainly fired up Orchard Lake St. Mary's.
And there's a little bit of confusion down there, and I think what they're going to do, Mike, is reset the play clock. And while they do that, it gives me time to say thanks to the UA Local 50 Pipe Fitters, Bob Lynn and Company. Would like to say thanks to you. And then our good friends over at Pitt Adult Education. Thanks for coming on board the Toledo Sports Network family of sponsors. Joining the IBW, Local 8, and Taz Electronics. First and 5, 11:50 to go in this one. Inside handoff, nothing doing as up to the task right there were the big front line of the Whitmer Panthers.
Well, and that's something that as the season goes on, I mean, you look at last year, I think they have 5 guys back on defense from last year's squad. They're going to have some opportunities here early in the season to really, gain some valuable experiences against some really good teams. St. Mary's tonight, Detroit Catholic Central, and then Central Catholic. So it's going to be a learning curve, I think, early in the season for the Whitmer Panthers. But you see the size and athleticism is there. It's just going to be that game day experience where they're going to learn a lot. And tonight, I think you just got to give credit where credit's due to the Eaglets offensively so far. I mean, there's still a lot of time in this game, don't get me wrong, but after that initial first drive, I mean, it looked like it could have been a long day for Orchard Lake St. Mary, but they really have been doing a good job getting that initial push up front with this running attack that they have.
Mikolajchak and Snyder's were in on that tackle. So it'll be 3rd, and we'll call it a 2. Inside handoff, Sanders trying to break it outside, nothing doing it. He'll be cut down. Looked like it was Mikolajchak again over there.
And I think number 24 was in there again, Marcus Elliott.
There's our guy, Marcus Elliott. I saw the 4 flashing in. He's going to bring up a 4th and 2, and in comes Big Tank Cummings. It's decision time. Decisions for St. Mary's. Do you go for the juggler? To try to push across another touchdown? Try to put this game out of reach, or do you kick a field goal?
I think they're going to go for it. I mean, they're certainly lining up in that position. Let's see if they just try to get him with the hard count.
There it goes, straight ahead. And it's close to a first down. It's going to depend on the spot. And it's going to be enough for the first down.
I mean, like I said, you got to give credit to Orchard St. Marys right there. They're deep in Whitmer territory. Orchard Lake St. Marys have been running the football very well throughout this game, minus that first drive that they had in the first quarter. It's a gutsy call.
Sander, nothing doing. Tank Cummings, first man there, and he blows that up. Loss of about 5 on that.
That kid is so big, it's ridiculous. Like, honestly, Steve, it's just, I am in awe of how big these dudes are. Like, I'm not even, I mean, just seeing the size and the development at the high school level just in the last 4 years, 4 seasons now that I've been doing these games with you guys. I mean, look at the size of those dudes up front.
Yeah,
That's like a Division I college line right there.
And Henry's going to keep it. Fake. Got a man open. Throws. Incomplete. We'll bring up third and 11 now with 9:01 to go. And here's, well, no, we've said this more than once, but third downs don't get much bigger than this one, Mike Bauman. You have to get off the field if you want to win this football game.
You absolutely do. And you know, we've seen Marcus Elliott really turn things up a little bit more here in the second half. A couple of big plays in the third quarter. Once again, Whitmer holding them on third down, but missing a shot at that interception. And that's been the key tonight, is they haven't been able to get that turnover like Orchard Lake St. Mary's was able to get. That really helped kind of turn the momentum and shut down Whitmer at the end of that first half.
There's a goal route on the end zone, no good. And Henry tried to hook up with Tyson Smith, so kicking team gets ready. And that's going to call up Spencer Hurst. Hurst, the left-footed kicker. Good snap, good hold, kick is up. And the kick is good, so 8:52 to go in this game. And St. Mary's opens up a 7-point lead. It's 10-3. You're watching high school football right here on the Toledo Sports Network. We'll be back in a moment. 8:52 to go in this one. St. Marys 10, Whitmer 3. I'm Steve Taylor. He's Mike Bauman. Glad you could join us. Kickoff deep. And it'll go out of the back of the end zone. What a weapon to have.
Yes. I mean, the special teams, the field position tonight for both teams, really, I mean, has been a huge advantage. I think for Orchard Lake St. Marys to have a boot like that.
But here's decision time. 8:52 is starting to become crunch time for Whitmer. They really need to put something together offensively. Really haven't had a lot of offensive continuity besides that first drive. I was interested to see who his quarterback would be. Well, that decision has been made. It is Matt Winsler.
Well, and I think it's a good decision in this situation because he threw the ball pretty well in the first half, had 156 yards through the air, and was 10 for 15. So I think it's a good decision.
There's an excellent open field tackle right there by number 3 for St. Marys, and that's Ross Moore. Moore read that little bubble screen right there, just went up there and blew it up.
They've been on top of that pretty much all of the second half. I mean, I thought Whitmer came out with the right mindset to spread the ball out and get away from those big guys up front in the middle of that defense. But Petrucci and company have really done a good job of working the edges and making sure these guys don't get outside. And that's why I think if you're the Panthers, you got to go deep and give Boykin a shot.
There's the go route. There's the 9 route. There's the 9 route, and we're both teams screaming from flags, not going to get it. That ball was not well thrown. But there's a matchup that we wanted to see, Smith and Boykin, and it took to the 8-10 of the fourth quarter before we got it. And number 9 goes on a 9 route. Well, number 4 was up to task.
He was, and that young man's been offered by Michigan State, and reportedly also has some interest from a lot of Big Ten schools. And Smith, I think, even told, I believe it was MLive.com, that he's getting some interest from USC, UCLA, and even Bama. So, but I like the shot that time to go downfield.
There's an excellent pitch and catch right there, and breaking a tackle and moving across midfield is Casino Stacker, as he stacks up a big game for the Whitmer Panthers. But you have to like the way Winsler throws against his body. He's rolling out to his left, and he throws an absolute laser on the money to Stacker.
And that was a great route that time by Casino. I mean, he's come up big here in the second half. I want to say that's his 5th catch now for Whitmer in this half out of that slot position. And you see the wheels on that young man, too, after he catches the ball, getting the yards after the catch.
Winsler brings him up. Inside handoff, getting to the outside. Bell picks up a block, looking for another one. Couldn't get it, but he picks up a first down and more. It's a gain of about 15.
And see, Whitmer has them where they want them now, Steve, utilizing that passing game to set up the run. Once again, that time, Orchard Lake St. Marys only rushing 4 guys. They've been doing a good job reading those little pop passes, but now that you've taken a couple shots deep with Boykin, you had the big play from Casino, and now they can set up that run game a little bit. Let's see if they get in the hands of Mr. Bell right here.
Stacker, one cut, and he's moving forward. He'll be taken down, but he's going to get positive yards.
And give him credit for holding on to that football, man.
And Stacker's feeling it.
Jalen Watts-Jackson got that arm in there, try to rip that ball out, and Stacker held on. I mean, these guys, and that's another thing that I'll say about the Eaglets, Steve, is they do a pretty good job gang tackling. But Whitmer, minus that 1 foot fumble from Ryan, has not coughed it up.
That was totally blown up right there. 6:55 to go in this one. 3rd and we'll call it 6.
And let's see if, they're going to send Boykin wide. I was going to say that short side of the field, even though he has that height advantage, I would always want to, if I was a betting man, I'd always want my big receiver at 6'4" to be on that wide side of the field. I just think it gives him more opportunities to even roll out Winsler.
He's matched up over there with Smith. They're going to roll the pocket that way. He's going to be rolled or flushed out of the pocket. Looking, completes the pass. Going to be just short of the first down. But that's what you do. You move to an open area and give your quarterback a target, and that's Stacker again.
Well, great pressure once again, Steve, from Orchard Lake St. Mary's. But Winsler is pretty flight of feet and has an opportunity to make a play.
It's 4th and 2.
And I think they'll use a timeout here, yep.
Well, they were definitely disorganized. Timeout on the field, and we'll take timeout with them. 6:20 to go on this one. It's St. Mary's 10, Whitmer 3. We'll be back for the finish. Back for the last 6:20. 4th down, 2 to go. Whitmer on the St. Mary's 25-yard line.
They're going
back
to 9.
Pass.
Want to,
Pulling
anyway.
it back down. Winsler, he's got wide open receiver. Ball tipped. Might have, could have ran it.
And just another great play that time from Michael Linehan, number 44. And you saw that time, Steve, they put trips right on the wide side of the field. They have Boykin in single coverage, and he locked on him the entire time. And they just couldn't get the play that they wanted because of the defense of Orchard Lake St. Mary's that time.
6:12 to go. And Whitmer does have all of his allotment of timeouts.
Now, in that last play, if you're Whitmer, would you have sent just Boykin in the end zone that time and try to make it a jump ball situation? Or do you like the idea in the short situation for him to come across the field? I mean, hindsight's always 20/20, but do you make it a jump ball because you have the height advantage, or do you like him coming across the middle like that?
Actually, I like the quarterback actually getting to the edge. I mean, I believe if he gets to the edge and just holds on to the football and runs with it, I think he'd pick up enough for the first down. Powerhouse backfield. Trying to bounce it to the outside, nothing doing, and losing yardage right there was number 9. That Robinson or Crump? I think that was Chris Crump.
Yeah, that was a good read that time by Jacob LaPointe, coming across from the opposite side of where we're sitting on that far sideline over there to chase down that play.
Whitmer can ill afford to allow this third down. They have to get off the field. It's under 5 minutes to go in this contest. 3rd and 6, inside handoff, and that's going to be real close to a first down. It looks like, from my vantage point, that's enough for a first down, Mike.
Well, and you look at these big fellas up front on that offensive line. Israel Helms, number 75, 6'5", 245, senior. I mean, they got some big boys up on that offensive line to really counter Whitmer's size. I mean, pound for pound, it's pretty even, but these last 3 quarters, they've really controlled the line of scrimmage.
They really have. I mean, they've really manned up. But, they're getting that extra blocker in, and Whitmer's not reading which way the football is going. There it goes again. Kind of looks like the old Air Force play.
Well, and the funny thing is, too, Steve, I mean, we used to see a lot of power running, and we're kind of used to seeing that. I mean, we do a lot of the outlying area games. We covered a lot of Genoa. They still operated that wing T. And now, though, you're seeing so many more high schools. You look at Central, you look at Whitmer, even some of the teams that we cover in the outlying areas in the NBC go into spreads. It's been sort of a trickle-down effect, and it's even happening at the pro level now. And I don't think some of these teams, they don't see this type of old-school run game as much anymore. And when you got a team that's only got 5 starters back from the year before, I mean, this is going to be a lot different from a lot of the schemes that they see this year.
Xander trying to get to the outside, and there's our guy again, number 24. That's Elliott. Saying nothing doing, coming up from a strong safety spot.
Well, the kid's a playmaker. I mean, you can see why he's a Division I recruit. He's definitely got the size, about 6', 6'1", $190. But his speed, he's been on all sides of the field. We've seen him make tackles on the edge of the field, up the middle. He's done a great job back there as a safety, kind of the quarterback of the defense, to really read those plays and make plays when he can, and really has kept Whitmer in these situations here defensively to have an opportunity in short yardage situations.
Well, Whitmer has had opportunities in this. They've been inside the 5-yard line now twice, and they weren't able to get the job done. Actually, 3 times because they had to kick a field goal as well. So they've been knocking at the door. They have just been turned away each time. And St. Marys really, other than that first opening drive by Whitmer, has really dictated where the action was going to be down in the trenches. They've done a great job at neutralizing the bigger Panthers. And they've really almost imposed its will upon them right now.
Well, and this is a team on the other side of the field. I mean, we're talking about Whitmer coming into this game, I believe, at 40-4, won more games than anybody in Ohio the last 3 years, winning the first game of the season. Orchard Lake St. Marys is coming in here, losing the state championship game on an overtime field goal. They were up 13-0 at the half in the first game this year against a good Oak Park team, and I think they felt like they let that one slip away. So you got a real hungry team coming in here tonight, and they knew they were going up against an Ohio powerhouse in Whitmer. So for people unfamiliar with the Eaglets, I mean, this is a very, very good football team with a lot of experience. I mean, 11 NFL players over the last several years, and they've sent guys to NFL Europe, UFL, USFL. This is an absolute powerhouse coming out of Michigan. So if Whitmer does fall tonight, people locally need to know. I mean, this is a very, very good football team, one of the best in the state for Michigan over the last decade and a half.
Inside hand, a ball on the ground.
There's that turnover they needed. They
And
got
the
it.
Whitmer Panthers get the much-needed turnover at the 3:23 mark. Boy, and you talk about finding lightning in a bottle.
I think you got to keep going deep to number 9, just giving him an opportunity here.
And that's going to be an incomplete pass. They're trying to get Casino Stacker involved. He's been the big play guy here in the second half.
He really has, but these are the moments that you live for if you're a football fan, because here we have 2 of the best teams in their respective states, a border battle, and we've got Boykin and Tyson Smith going one-on-one against each other on the outside. Let's see what happens.
And down goes Wensler, and man, coming through just blowing that up was Julian Jones. I mean, Jones came from nowhere.
You know what? That was a great play, and that time they bring Boykin on the inside trying to come across the middle of the field, and they've had some success the last couple of drives attacking the middle of the field. They had that big play from Casino. But, wow, once again, credit to the pressure of Orchard Lake St. Marys.
3rd and 19. Wensler back to pass. Throws up underneath. Incomplete. Throws short for Brendan Larkin.
And right here, this play in particular, Steve, just comes down to fundamentals. You got 4th and 19, 2:37 left in the game. If Whitmer doesn't get this, you have the ball at their 39-yard line, presumably can run the football, take care of the football, run out the clock. You don't want to get caught on the snap count here, and you don't want to give up anything deep. Let them dink and dunk you if you're Orchard Lake St. Marys, and if you're Whitmer, got to give them a shot.
That's exactly where I thought they would go. You got safety help over the top, but my guy's bigger than your guy. They're going to say he came down with the ball out of bounds.
Wow. They gave him a shot, and he caught it, and he's a little winded, but they're saying he was out of bounds. And I believe that was the right call. But you know what? I can't believe that kid made that catch in between 2 guys like that.
That doesn't surprise me. I've seen him do it. I mean, I'm almost surprised that they haven't tried that more often here today, because he's 6'4" with a great leaping ability.
And there's no guarantees here. I mean, coughing up the football that last drive for Orchard Lake St. Marys, I fully expect Whitmer to bring a big rush.
Xander, both hands on the football. He'll be stopped for no gain. And Whitmer uses his second timeout. St. Mary's ready to go. And we're ready to go with them. So 2nd and 10, we'll make it 8. Inside handoff, carrying the ball with both hands. Xander again, and nothing doing. Michael Adjic, first man there. And Whitmer uses his 3rd and final timeout.
And it's going to be really interesting to see Whitmer over the next couple of weeks and how that parlays into their track schedule, because they are playing some top-notch competition.
Watch the quarterback sweep. Actually going to give it to inside handoff to Xander again. He's going to be close to the first down. It's going to be 4th and about 3.
And the door's still open here for the Whitmer Panthers. They'll let this clock run down, and they'll still probably have under a minute to make something happen offensively and try to maybe throw it up a jump ball to Boykin again. And you mentioned trying to utilize that more. And, you know, I think in this game, when it boils down to it, they had a lot of big plays in the first half. Orchard Lake St. Mary's did a great job taking that away in the second half. They did a great job covering the edges of the field, taking away those pop passes and those bubble screens. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see if they get a stop here, what they do offensively that last drive.
Back for the last 140. It's 4th and 3. Watch the quarterback draw right here, Mike. Hard count. And they're going to call another timeout trying to get Whitmer to jump, and they wouldn't bite at all. So neither team has a timeout left.
Well, you know, and the game management, I think, has been pretty good tonight by both teams. They're both very well coached. The type of winning that you see on both sides of the field tonight, I mean, it does not happen just on talent alone. You have to have great coaches, and Jerry Bell, once again, a former Whitmer player, coming back to this program after Palka was here. And on the other side of the field, you got George Porritt, who's really just developed a powerhouse up there in Michigan in the Catholic League and turned out a lot of great players. Morgan Trent, one of the more recent guys the last few years. Obviously, Michigan got drafted by the Bengals. So, I mean, this is a team that's used to winning. And their goal every year is to get to Ford Field. It's to get to the state championship at Ford Field. And to come into this game tonight off of 2 tough losses and definitely one against Oak Park last week that I'm sure they felt they let slip away. And letting them come back in the game in the second half and then losing 25-20. They knew what they were coming into tonight, and you could see that preparation because they really made adjustments after that first drive, and you got to give credit where credit's due.
Inside handoff, nothing doing as Whitmer's defense rises to the occasion and turns away the Eaglets.
And now you got 1:36 on the clock, and you know, in this situation, Steve, if you're the defense, you don't want to give up the deep ball, but at the same time, you've seen what Jamal Bell is able to do with not a whole lot of room. So I think you have to be conscious for sure of where number 13 is, but I don't think you can just settle on letting them dink and dunk you because that boy can make you miss.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you don't change a thing what you've done defensively. You've really been stellar defensively the whole game. I think you just continue to play your base and get after it. And that's what they're going to do. There's a quick pass over the middle. Casino Stacker. He's going to be complete for a first down.
And that time just rushing 3. Usually we've seen them, even though their base is a 3-4, we've seen pretty much 4 or 5 man rush. So this time taking the 3-man rush again.
Well, what they're starting to do as Boykin completes that pass, and it'd be enough for another first down, so they creep into St. Mary's territory with a $120. So they've gotten nice yardage on a couple of different pass plays, but they're dropping 8 in the coverage, and they're playing an umbrella coverage, and Whitmer's doing exactly what they should do, is falling into a zone, just sitting down. They're going to move the pocket again. That one there is going to be incomplete.
Pretty good coverage that time by Watts Jackson.
Stopping the clock with 1:15 to go. Whitmer moving his offense rather rapidly, getting up to the line of scrimmage. Thus, Winsler sends trips out to his right, his left. And he looks back the other way. He's got a man open, and it's intercepted by number 36, who stepped in front of it. He fell back in double coverage, didn't see him. Windsor didn't see him.
Josh Ross coming up with a big play, and I think that was number 6, Kenny Arnold, off the edge that time on Windsor's blind side. I think Windsor felt him coming. He gets to him right as he releases the football. Windsor still gets a good pass off, but I think he was conscious of that rush, knew he had to get rid of it quickly. Give credit once again to Orchard Lake St.Marys for bringing the pressure. It's funny, you talked about right before that drive starts, sticking with what got you there. They only rush 3, give up 2 big passing plays on the first part of that defensive drive. They bring the pressure those last 2 drives, and they end up forcing the turnover.
And it's a series of knees that we will see from here. So, barring a miracle, St. Mary's will come in and upend the Whitmer Panthers and end its home winning streak.
Well, if you're Whitmer, though, what are the positives you take away from this one tonight, Steve? Because, I mean, I definitely think there's some teachable moments in this game. Once again, offensively, only 2 starters back, so they have a lot of experience they need to gain, and they played a good football team tonight, but I do think there were some positives.
Well, the one thing that they have to look at is third down. They have to get better on third down. You have to recognize what the defense is giving you. Again, here's a very, very experienced football team coming in, and you have an inexperienced at a lot of different positions. We saw that last night in the Denver game against the Baltimore Ravens, where the Ravens defense was rather young. The same defense that we saw last night, I'm sure we're not going to see at the end of the year. So, they will be a lot better. And I think the Whitmer Panthers will be a lot better off defensively after an outing like this. But they fall to the St. Mary's Eaglets 10-3. Your final thoughts on this one, Mike?
My final thoughts are we saw 2 of the best teams in the states of Ohio and Michigan tonight, and I think that this experience is going to go a long way for the Whitmer Panthers as they move into their next couple games of their schedule at Detroit Catholic Central, then on the road against Central Catholic. I mean, that's a tough schedule to start out, but I think when you look at the potential for the playmaking ability on this team for the Whitmer Panthers, those are positive things to move forward. Defensively, you have the size. They faced a very, very good football team tonight, and I think this is a great way for this team after the success that they've had, losing a couple of key players to build as they go through this season. So let's see how they bounce back from this one next week.
2 things jump out to me. Third down, missed opportunities. Whitmer's going to have to be better on third down, and they're going to have to do better at capitalizing on any opportunities that they have. That'll do it from Whitmer High School as St. Mary's upends the Whitmer Panthers 10-3 for my good friend Mike Bauman and all of our sponsors that help make these telecasts possible. IBW, Local 8, UA Local 50 Pipe Fitters, TAS Electronics, Penna Adult Education. We thank you, and we sign off. It's Steve Taylor. For all of our hard-working crew, we'd like to say thank you, and we'll see you next time on the Toledo Sports Network High School Game of the Week.